We're gonna have to start over. I don't like how this is blending. Hi, welcome. My name is Marlene. Today I am going to tell you some spooky stories / paranormal stories based off of this mural right here that is located in Celaya, Guanajuato, where my mom is from. And then I also wanted to play with the Lethal Cosmetics / The Conjuring collab palette. I also have their eyeliners, the lipsticks, and this really strange setting powder with this black tint in it that I'm not too sure if it's gonna show up when you put it on your face. Oh my goodness, and I did not know it had 2 layers. There is a little poof underneath, a little mirror. This is the first time it had opened like that, so I did not know that compartment was under there. But this is the setting powder. So we'll find out later how this applies, but I have touched it. It's like a balmy silicone-y texture. This is my second time filming this. I tried filming this just a little before this and I had to go wash my face because the shadows were not performing the way I wanted them to, and I want to give them another chance. I'm surprised I haven't played with any Lethal Cosmetics stuff here on the channel yet, and I have a little suspicion that the formula in these Avatar The Last Airbender palettes that they also did a collab with, there are 4 of these palettes. I think the formula in this is a lot better than in some of their other palettes. I do have the Spellbinding palette. I'll put it right here. That one I also had a little bit of difficulty playing with those shadows, and then same with these single ones. The matte ones, I struggle playing with them a little bit more. I feel like they do a little bit of, like, if you watch my question beauty video where they set into my pores here and then they get muddy and they don't apply as smoothly as I want them to. Now that can be complete lack of knowledge and experience on my part, but I do enjoy their shimmer formulas here. But I end up using these with other palettes, like other good known matte shades from other palettes. I will use these with them and I will have no issues. So let's try this again. Yeah, I really like the formula in these, and I'm not sure if it's different, but I always go to this one for this shade here to blend up into my eyebrows, and I really enjoy these shimmer shades. So let's do this again with a different primer. Now, this was my go-to die-hard primer that I really loved and trusted. This is a replacement one though. I'm not too sure if this one is just like a dud, because ever since I've been playing with this one here, things just haven't been sitting right. So I picked up this Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion. Gonna be my first time using it, but I'm hoping the change in primer will have an effect in the way that these perform. Hopefully, we'll see. So this is what the inside of the palette looks like. This one is like a very pale blue and this one's a very pale pink, but they apply on the eyelids a lot more pigmented. Now let me swatch out these special shades for you. This one straight on for you looks very pink, but it does have a little bit of green tint to it. This one is so smooth and it almost feels wet, and it's just like this gold foil effect. That's those two. This one has a little bit more of that wet effect too, and then this one is kind of more on the drier side. I really love these two. This one I'm kind of on the fence over, and then this one is super pretty, but let's play with them and give them another chance. And while we do that, I'm going to tell you stories about this mural here that is located in Celaya, Guanajuato, as I said, which is where my mom is from. Now this mural here tells the story of some of the legends from the city. Each image in this mural references a different story. This city is also famous for the mummies that they have. They have a mummy museum. It's a little controversial because of how they gained access to some of these mummies. They were in a gravesite where they were requiring payment to keep them entombed. If they didn't, they were going to dig them up. And when they dug up these remains, they found that a lot of the bodies were preserved almost perfectly. Oh, as perfect as you can get a body that has been in the ground for a while. A lot of them have been mummified due to the way that the soil is composed. They have them displayed in a museum you can go visit. I visited as a child, and I have a really vivid memory of seeing a vampire mummy in a coffin lying like this, and they had him in the ground with like a glass casing over it. And this was back when they had disposable cameras. And I remember we took a picture of this. And this particular picture I was really excited to get developed. We took it to get developed at one of the local stores there. And when we got it back, that picture was missing. Now, was it missing because the vampire did not want us to have its image? Maybe they developed it and the picture came out blank and they just were like, okay, well, that one's a dud, just chuck it. Or did they keep it because it was such a cool picture? I will never know. But that was quite an experience to go visit. Wasn't really aware that this was what we were going to go do, but we went and we saw the mummies. They claim to have the world's smallest mummy. They are also known for their cajeta. Cajeta is like dulce de leche, or like kind of like a caramel. I remember putting this on like toasted bread and having it with some coffee. Super good, but they are known for that. But they are known for many things. I found out about this mural recently because my brother pointed it out. He said I should look into some of the stories regarding this mural. So I did. And I was planning on looking up every single story about each one of these images in this mural, but it's been very difficult to find information about them, so I'm going to tell you the ones that I do have information about before this Halloween season disappears, because it's almost over. And since we're doing the Conjuring palette, let's talk about one about possession. This one is called La Endiablada del Carmen, and the specific image that relates to the story is this one right here. So, this story goes that there was this teenager who wanted to go out dancing with her friends, but her parents did not want her going out. She got into an argument with her parents. One version says that she pushed her mother down to the ground and she just ran out and went to go party. So she's over here partying with her friends, and this man approaches her, starts dancing with her. And they're having a good time and they're dancing, and then the man tells her, "Do you know who I am?" She says, "Well, I don't know who you are, but you're very handsome and you're a really good dancer." So he says, "Do you want to know who I am?" She's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." So he pulls her off to the side and, they're talking, and she thinks like, he's gonna tell her who he is. But out of nowhere, she just feels a thud. And she looks around and the man is gone. Well, it turns out that this man was none other than the devil himself. The devil had possessed her. He took over her body, and then slowly after that, she started morphing into this really grotesque thing. She grew horns, she grew a tail, her feet turned into hooves, she started growing fur. She had this really terrible growl, like this really ugly cry. When she got home, it is said allegedly that she was so uncontrollable and so full of rage that she ended up attacking her dad. She scratched him and mauled him and took his life. Now the mother, she does the only thing she can do. She calls the police. They come over, and it takes quite a few of these policemen to get the situation under control. They end up chaining her up because she is just so uncontrollable and so dangerous. Some reports say that they ended up driving her, because she was from another small town nearby. They end up driving her, or they end up walking her to this temple, this church, El Templo del Carmen. They take her here, and as they're taking her there, they are pretty much parading her around, showing the other youth, the children around, of why you should obey your parents and you shouldn't be out and about at nighttime, because they wanted everyone around to see that the devil, that demons are a very real thing, and they wanted to make an example of her. And everyone in town heard what was going on. They're all gathered around. They lead the girl into the church and they put her into this metal cage, because like I said, she is uncontrollable, she is dangerous. They have her by the steps of this altar and they are praying for her. The church is packed with people, and there are several people just outside the church being nosy, just wondering what's going on. Now they say that they saw her go in, but they never saw her go out. There are some versions that say 3 of the friars came out running, saying, she's escaped, and everyone is just panicking, like, where did she go? Now, one of these theories about as to where did she go was that there is a set of tunnels connecting all these churches to each other. Some versions say that she managed to escape the cage and went into this system of tunnels, and that she runs around through these tunnels, scaring people, haunting these tunnels, And there are people that say that they hear cries coming from these tunnels. These really ugly, animalistic cries. Now, another version says that they actually transported this cage through the set of tunnels, and they had to transport her all the way to the Vatican to have an exorcism performed. And this story is set to take place in 1978. They say that there are newspapers that talked about this. I couldn't find any of the newspapers talking about this story. I'm gonna try again just to see if I can find anything, but this is like a actual thing that happened allegedly. Now, another one of these stories, this one's a little bit more lighthearted. This is the story of Las Tres Conchitas, which refers to this image right here. Now, Las Tres Conchitas, this is like in the early 1900s, around that time. There were three women, three little old ladies, that each had the name of Maria Concepcion. Maria Concepcion, the nickname for that, is Conchita. So they would call them Las Tres Conchitas, the three little shells. Conchita means shell. Now, these three little women, it is said that they had known each other since they were schoolgirls, like little young girls. And they remained friends all the way up until adulthood. And either they never married or they were single now. The point was, they would always meet up at the same place, at this column of Independence. They would each meet there. One by one, they would all go and wait for the others. So you would have Maria Concepcion 1 show up, and then Maria Concepcion 2, and then Maria Concepcion 3. The three little Conchitas. And while they waited for the first mass to happen and wait for the church bells to ring to attend the first mass at La Iglesia de San Francisco, and while they would be there waiting, it is said that they would just gossip. They were very well known for being gossips. They would talk about things like, oh my goodness, did you see so-and-so's skirt? It is so short. Or, oh my goodness, did you hear so-and-so are dating? Those kind of gossips. And then one of these mornings, while they were waiting for the church to open up, they spotted across the way there's another church called El Templo de la Tercera Orden. From this temple, there was a woman that was all dressed in black. She was leaving this temple and she was making her way to this theater. The three Conchitas, they look over and they're like, oh my goodness, did you just see that? And they're like, yeah, I just saw that. So they go over, they hobble over and follow her. And when they get to the door of the theater, the lady's not there anymore. But they knock, and this is in the early hours of the morning. So they knock on this theater door, and the security guard just goes and answers. He's all groggy. He's like, what's going on? And the three Conchitas go, was there a woman here that just knocked? And he's like, yeah, she just woke me up. She said, hey, there's a fire. And I looked around and there was no fire. And when I looked back, she was already gone. And they were like, well, can we go inside and look? And he was just kind of like, yeah, whatever, do whatever you want. So he lets them in, and then they go in and they see a fire. They're scrambling, they're looking for water or anything to put out the fire. They end up putting the fire out. The man's just like, what the heck is going on, right? The three Conchitas look at each other and they go, that was Emeteria Valencia. You saw that, right? And this man's looking at them like, she passed like a while ago. What are you going on about? The three Conchitas claim that they saw this woman. She was well known around that area because she was a benefactor of this city. She helped build schools. In fact, she helped fund that theater that was burning down. Now, I found some sources saying that she was buried at that church that she came out of, El Templo de las Tres Órdenes. They say that she was either buried there or there's a plaque dedicated in her honor. On this day, she came back to warn them of the fire that was going to burn down this building that she helped fund build. They say that her ghost came back to give that warning. And the Conchitas, having known Emeteria Valencia in real life when they were younger, when she was still living, they claimed that this was the woman who went to give warning that the theater was going to go burn down. She was just trying to save the building. And she came back from her rest to give that warning. Moving on to the next story. This one has to do with this particular image. La enlutada de San Francisco. An enlutada means someone that's in mourning. I heard somewhere that back in the day, women used to wear all black when they were in mourning, and they would continue wearing all black up until death, like when their husband passed, or up until they felt it was the right time to stop wearing black. So this is the story of the woman in black that's in mourning. At nighttime, there was a horse-drawn carriage. It was being pulled by these two black horses with red glowing eyes. So every night at around midnight, this carriage being drawn by these two horses would speed through the town, and it would stop in front of La Iglesia de San Francisco, the Church of San Francisco. And out of this carriage, this woman dressed in all black would come out. She would almost float and glide across all the way up to the doors of this church. Now, what was strange about this is it's closed. There's nobody there to open the doors for the church. She would knock 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And she would go into the church. And she would be in there for 20-30 minutes. Some people say that they would see her wiping tears off of her face. And some people say they would hear her crying, saying, mis hijos, my children, my children. We don't know the story of La Llorona. La Llorona is this weeping woman. She drowned her children in a river, and she roams the earth mourning the loss of her children. And every night at midnight, she comes out to cry for them. I am struggling with this burgundy color. It is getting so freaking powdery. I don't think I've had an eyeshadow get that powdery. Some people say this is La Llorona, but others say that this woman is actually someone who lived at one of the nearby haciendas. An hacienda is like a large estate, a large plot of land. This woman found out that her husband had been cheating on her. One night, in a fit of rage, she goes down to the kitchen. She finds the biggest, sharpest knife she can find. Goes up to the bedroom where her husband is fast asleep, and she stabs him over and over again. And still in this fit of rage and jealousy, she goes over to the room of her children, and she proceeds to take their lives as well. And after she's done committing these crimes, she's standing there and she just comes back to her senses and realizes the atrocity, the horrific things she has just done. And she finds the tallest tower she can find in the hacienda, and she jumps and ends her life. The children and the husband received a proper burial in mass with the church. The wife, however, due to committing one of the ultimate sins, did not have that. She was put into a common grave, and she did not receive that prayer to let her soul lay to rest. So they say that she goes to visit this church every night to pray for forgiveness and to mourn the loss of her children. And she carries the guilt of the terrible crimes that she committed against her own family. And unfortunately, those are all the stories I could learn or find information on. I know that one of the persons in this image is Don Francisco Eduardo Tres Guerras, which is the architect of the Church of San Francisco. And they say there is one story about him, though. There, across the street from this church, there is a statue that is dedicated to him. And this statue used to be standing. But they said that every night, that statue would get up and walk around town, and people would be spooked by it. They would catch him walking around the town at night, but every morning he would go back to his place, but then the next night, the statue would get up and walk around town again. And in order to prevent that, they made the statue in a seated position. Now, this story was obviously a little bit more harder to believe. All of these, I guess, for me, they're just fun little stories to tell, but that one was like a little bit more like out there. Like, how can you make this metal statue go from standing to sitting down? And I will tell you one more story related to this city. It is not any story particularly related to the mural. It is just about a famous haunted house in this area. There is a house that they call La Casa Francisco Juarez. Now, it's not named because it's owned by somebody named Francisco Juarez. It is named that way because of the street that it's on. In this house, there was a couple living there and they had a little girl. The little girl's life ended up getting taken away. It is not 100% disclosed of how this happened, or there's one version that I heard, but I don't think it's very YouTube friendly. But the most common version I've heard was that this little girl passed, her life was taken away from her, and the parents couldn't bear being at the house anymore, so they tried to sell the house. Try to sell it, but they find difficulty in trying to get the house sold. Now, why do they have trouble getting this house sold? People can't stay too long in this house. They end up leaving without explanation, really. There was one man, though, in particular that rented the house out, and he stayed there the longest for 1 whole month. He probably barely even made it a month. And he said that he would encounter really weird things. At first it started light. There would be doors that would slam open and shut on their own. There'd be just banging on the windows. And eventually he started seeing a little girl in the hallway. At first this little girl wasn't doing too much, but she would give him these stares, like these really unkind stares. And eventually this little girl started yelling at him, telling him to get out of her house. One night this man just can't take it anymore because this little girl's pleas are getting more and more aggressive each time. He calls up the owners, tells them, you know what, we need to meet right now. I need to hand over these keys. I cannot stay here anymore. They ask him what happened, what's wrong, and he's like, I keep seeing this little girl and there's a lot of weird things happening and I just don't want to stay here. To this day is abandoned. They cannot find anybody to rent this house or stay in this house for very long. It has been rented out to some businesses and to a political party. A political party had like their headquarters out of there. I have read that these businesses and the political party that have stayed here will say that they didn't really encounter anything weird. But the people that do believe that there is something going on there say they're probably not seeing anything because they're there during the day, during business hours, and they're not sleeping there, so maybe that's why they don't see anything spooky. But right now the house is abandoned. It's empty. People interested in the paranormal will go out there and stake it out at night. On the outside, of course. I don't think they're allowing people to go inside. All of these videos I see, though, are people standing outside the building and just waiting for something spooky to happen. I haven't seen anyone stake out the actual building itself. People do say that when they walk past that building, they will see a little girl staring out the window, or that they'll hear a little girl shouting. There is also a bet that if you are able to stay a full night in this house, the house is yours to keep. But I think that is just a myth. I did read that the actual owner of the house is somebody who came to live here in the States. He sent money to have the house built, but since then he started a life here, married, had children, so he's had no need to go back there and stay in this house, so that is why the house is empty. And he just doesn't want to have families live there because he knows that they will probably not take such good care of the house and it'll get more messed up if he has people actually living there. So that is why it gets rented out to businesses rather than families. So sorry to kill the spooky lore there, but I kind of feel like that's more the reason why this building is probably abandoned, is because he only wants businesses to rent it out, and maybe it's just not prime location to have, especially considering everyone that is local thinks that this place is haunted. But say this place was haunted and they would give the house away to you if you were brave enough to stay there for 1 full night. Would you be willing to do that? Stay at a haunted house for 1 full night and the house is yours? I don't think I'm bold enough to say yes to such a challenge. I would not do that. I'm going to finish off blending this down here. It's still doing this weirdness. I'm gonna play with a Bella Vitae bar palette tomorrow and see if it's still doing the same thing, because I had this issue with the Question Beauty palette, and now I'm having this issue with this palette. But I have had this issue with the Lethal Cosmetics formula before with my singles palette here, my Create Your Own palette. I just want to make sure that it's not my eyelid skin that's doing this thing. But I'm going to finish this off camera. My camera's dying. And then I'll be back to play with the eyeliners and the lipsticks. Alright, I cleaned that up as best as possible and I blended it out as best as possible. I am not happy with that. In fact, I love the shimmers. The shimmer here, this one is Possession. The one that is on my inner corner and up in here and on the middle of my lower lash line. And the Curse. So these two, the Curse and Possession. I enjoyed these shimmer ones and I'm sure I would enjoy the other special shades too. This pale blue one, or pale blue gray, and this pale pink one are really nice. The turquoise one was nice to work with as well. This burgundy one, this brown one, and this brown one were just a tiny bit more difficult to work with. If you can see that burgundy one, the amount of powder that is collected in there, that's a lot. I don't think I've had an eyeshadow where I've had that much powder build up in the pan. If I was to purchase this again, knowing what I know now, I probably would not purchase the palette. I would probably pass on this one. Yeah, I'm not as happy as I want to with at least 3 or 4 of these shades. I'll play with it again just to make sure, but I'm not 100% happy with it. Alright, let's do the eyeliners. These eyeliners have little symbols on the end of them. I am not gonna use that one because I don't mess with that. Alright, let's see if the eyeliners are a little bit better. I do enjoy the multi-chrome liquid eyeliner formula of Lethal Cosmetics. These Avatar The Last Airbender collab eyeliners. They come in sets of 2 and there are 4 different sets. Each one has a solid color and then a multi-chrome in them. I've been obsessed with these multi-chromes since I've had them. These ones come in 3 different colors. They are Black Moss, Hide and Clap, and Demon's Mark. This one is Devil's Mark, Black Mass, Hide and Clap. I'm going to do Hide and Clap, the felt tip side of it, as a liner here. Okay, so some of these liquid eyeliners, when you stamp them on top of eyeshadow, I feel like they struggle to apply on top of the eyeshadow. Like they'll just dry up from picking up all of the eyeshadow powder. This one is stamping on really nicely and going on very opaquely over the eyeshadow, so I really like that so far. It's juicy but not too juicy. So yes, this eyeliner I do really like. It's easy to control. And it is, like I said, kind of very juicy, so you do get a good amount of product that comes out. If you press hard enough, you will get more, but it's very easy to control and get like a lighter line if you want to. You just got to be a little bit more light-handed with it. Let's try the little stamps out. Let's see, where should we do? We'll do one right here where I usually have my mole. Where'd my mole go? Oh, it's on this side. We'll do one right here. Okay, what I don't like is that you will get the outer circle if you press too hard. We'll do a different one somewhere else. Let's do the purple eyeliner on the bottom lash line. That's the purple liner on the bottom lash line, and I did a little bit on the corner here. I'm gonna do the little pentagram one over here, if I can do them evenly. I'm not much liking that, so I'm gonna take that one off. Let's do some blush. I'm gonna do this really bright fuchsia magenta color. I'm not too sure what to call it. I really do enjoy that blush. It is very, very pigmented. Just gonna add a little bit of bronzer to even that out. For highlighter, I'm going to use one of these from the Lethal Cosmetics single eyeshadows that I have. I'm going to go in lightly with this blue shade. And give myself a little bit of a blue highlight. I'm going to go in with the Lethal Cosmetics brown mascara in the color Coil. These ones are nice too. They're very comfortable to wear. I think they just give definition and length, just enough to define my lashes. And it's easy to wash off. But they have a lot of fun colors. Some don't show up as brightly as I want them to on my lashes, but I do enjoy using these. So this side has the mascara right now and this side does not. I'm trying to go in and fix these bare spots, but then my blend up here isn't as nice. No, it's like I just don't want to give up on it. And then just blend back over it with the pink. Try to help it some. Oh, I'm just gonna leave it alone. I feel like I'm just making it worse. Or I could add sparkle to it to cover that up. I'm gonna grab the same shade I used for the highlighter. I will put the shade name up here after I find something magnetic to pick this up with. Dust this over my terrible blend. Which is a shame. I really like that really pale pink shade, but this just is burgundy color that I'm not getting along with at all. It's refusing to cooperate. Let's try this funky setting powder. It's supposed to be mattifying, so I'll just probably do half my face. See if we see a difference. Let's see on the nose. Nose should be obvious. Yes, mattifying. Okay, the rest of my forehead. Okay, that's kind of nice. It did a really good job at mattifying my skin. It doesn't leave any weird texture, or like the black pigment on here doesn't like show up as anything on your skin. I just rubbed this across the balm. There's like no residue really that gets picked up. I'm going to wear this for the rest of the evening, but it did a really good job at mattifying my skin. It doesn't leave any weird residue or texture on my skin at all. In fact, it almost seems like it tried to blur out my pores here in the center of my face. So we'll see how that wears. Let's try out the lip products and then we'll do a wrap up. So there's a black one called Relax Vengeance. Look at that detail that is imprinted into the lipstick. I think that is pretty cool. It's a shame we're gonna ruin it just now. That feels very smooth. And the second one is called Annabelle's Curse. I'd say that's kind of more of a blue toned red, but we're gonna do both of them. I'm gonna do this one on the outside and I'm gonna do the black lipstick on the middle. Let me zoom you in. Alright, it's very creamy. I just don't like the color for me. Maybe it's the eyeshadow. No. I just don't. I feel like it's a little too blue burgundy for me. Formula's nice though, it's very creamy. I'm gonna try to put this in the middle, but I might have to just completely take this off and then just do the black lipstick. This one's just as creamy. Go back over the lip liner area with this About Face Matte Fix lip liner in the color Lost Time. Okay, I like that a little better, the lips. But I think we can do a little bit more to help it out. I'm gonna use the Curse. I'm gonna tap a little bit of the Curse onto the middle of the lips. And this is my finished look. I am not happy with it. I'm actually really bummed at that burgundy shadow. The red lipstick too, I feel like it's too blue and kind of more pinkish fuchsia-y than on the red side. So it's not like my favorite shade of red. The black lipstick, can't go wrong with the black lipstick. I did really enjoy the shimmers in this palette, and that pale blue one, that pale pink one, those are super yummy. The turquoise one is okay, but this one I fought so hard. This brown one is on the okay side as well. I think mostly this burgundy one and this brown one I struggled with the most. Not my favorite palette. I will give it another shot. I'm gonna play with the Bella Beauté Bar palette tomorrow because I need to find out for sure. Is it my Sigma eyeshadow primer that is messing up the textures on my eyelids? This has never failed me, but like I said, this is a new one. Maybe it's a dud and maybe that's what's going on, but I'm just not liking the way the shadows are sitting on my eyelids right now. Yeah, not happy with the look, but the eyeliners are nice. The stamps are a cute idea. I wouldn't necessarily use any of them other than the Asterix one, because I would feel weird using the other two. That's just what I feel comfortable with. Yeah, is it my favorite collection? No. This one though, this setting powder though, was a nice surprise. I actually am shocked at how much that mattified my skin and how it kind of blurred my pores just a little bit. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for hanging out with me and for listening to my ghost stories. I hope to see you in the next one, and I hope you take care. Bye. Also, if you can let me know if you like this setup or the setup I had before. I feel like this one, the lighting is not as great as it could be. Yeah, just let me know. Help me out. Yeah, just let me know. Help me out. Let me know what you like better, if you like the way I had my desk the other way, or if you like it this way a little better. I'd appreciate the input. Okay.